So today we're going to be looking at Level 1 book, pages 50 through 55. And we're going to start on Face the Spaces. So we're just reviewing here the space notes of the treble clef. These we have already learned in class. Notice that we have middle C down here, which is below the staff. It has its own ledger line. And then here we have the notes F, A, C, and E. And here's where they correspond on the keyboard. Should be very familiar to you already. And so we're going to go ahead and learn a song, Dreamscape, using just those space notes on the treble clef, as well as middle C and bass clef F. So we're going to go ahead and put our right hand so that finger 1 is on the note F. So if you line your fingers up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, your fingers will be on F, G, A, B, and C. And let's just get a look at what that will look like. F, G, A, B, and C. Just like that. So that's where you'll be starting. Then with your left hand, you're going to go ahead and place it so that your left hand thumb is on middle C. We're familiar with that position. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, so that 5 will be on that bass F that we have in this song. So let's take a look at the music here for a moment. Notice that we have the music moving in thirds. So it's moving from space 1 to space 3 to space 5. And then here we're going to cross the left hand over. So that's a little different. I'm going to show you how to do it. So just watch very carefully. Then as we come a little bit further down here, we're going to bring the left hand back down to that middle C and then play that bass clef F with it as well. So let's go ahead and watch as I play Dreamscape. So I'm going to set my hands up, right hand thumb on F, left hand thumb on middle C, and cross over, cross over, it does tell me to use the damper pedal, so I'm going to go ahead and add that as well. And I'll hold it down the entire time. And that's all there is to it. So let's look at the next page. We're going to take a look at halftime show. Halftime show. So left hand thumb still going to be on middle C. Right hand thumb going to be on F there. And again, we're playing mostly skips, playing on those spaces of the treble clef. But we do have some places where we have, well, actually we don't. Not in this one, I think. That's the next song where we'll have some movement by step. So in this one, we're really just all moving completely by skip. So let me demonstrate what this one looks like. Halftime show. Square 5. That's it. Now let's take a look at the Lonely Pine. And here we go. A little bit of a different hand setup here. So left hand still going to be in that middle C position with thumb on middle C. Right hand, we're going to go ahead and move finger 3 up to the note E, which is the top space there. Here we're going to have mezzo forte, then piano. These two phrases here are exactly the same, but we're going to make an echo effect by playing this one softer. Then down here we're going to move the right hand up, move it down so that the thumb is back down on that note F. that first space of the treble clef. So let's go ahead and take a look at this one. Left hand thumb on middle C, right hand finger 3 is going to be on E, which means my thumb will be on that treble C. Easy peasy. So moving on, we're going to take a look at very quickly half rest and whole rest. So a half rest equals 2 beats of silence, and it is this little box looking thing sitting right here. It's the same as 2 quarter rests put together, and it's the equivalent of the half note, or I guess it's the partner of the half note. This is 2 beats of silence, this is 2 beats of sound. The whole rest hangs below line 4 right here, and it means to rest for any whole measure. Typically it's going to mean 4 beats of silence, but if you see it in a 3/4 time signature, it's going to equal 3 beats of silence or the whole measure. And the way that I always learned the half rest and the whole rest were that a whole rest belongs to a whole gentleman, and a whole gentleman, when he sees you on the street, he takes off his hat and tips his hat upside down. So a whole rest, when it's hanging down below the line 4 on the staff, it's going to look like an upside down hat. Whereas the half rest is going to look like a right side up hat sitting up on line 3 of the staff, and that's because a half gentleman wears his hat but keeps it on his head. So let's look at Race Car Rally on page 52. This one is actually a pretty long song. It's going to cover 2 pages. So if you'll just look here briefly at the beginning, notice that we've got that thumb on F again. So that's pretty familiar. And then, of course, our left-hand thumb on middle C. But notice here now we have the whole rests, telling us that our left hand is resting. Our left hand is resting here. Our left hand is resting here. And then, of course, down here we have the half rest. So you can see the difference in the half rest and the whole rest. So I'm going to play through Race Car Rally, both pages for you. There is a lot of repeated patterns in this song, so it should be very easy to play. Also notice your dynamics and your staccato markings, as well as your ties. You're going to have some ties through here, for instance, right here. So I'm not going to play this note right here because it's going to be tied to beat 4 from the previous measure. All right, let's take a look. Go ahead and get my hands set up. 1, 2, ready, play. 2, 3, 4. Square 9. 13. 17. 21. And notice that staccato there at the end. And that is Race Car Rally. So we've got a couple more that we're going to look at. Guide Note Pinball is going to be our next song, and for this song we're going to learn a new guide note, which is treble C. So our guide notes are kind of like our anchors as we learn new notes on the staff. We try to remember those just by sight, the same way that you would learn sight words when you were first learning to read. These are our notes that we don't really have to think about so much. And of course the easiest one of those is middle C. And then at this point we should also recognize bass clef F, bass F here, bass C down here, and treble G right here. Our new guide note that we're learning today is treble C. And treble C is on the 3rd space of the treble clef staff. Here you can see it all by itself. 3rd space of the treble clef staff. So when you see that note, you need to remember that that is the note C. So let's take a look at guide note pinball. First of all, notice the staccato markings. And also notice that here we're going to jump from middle C all the way up to treble C. That is an interval of an eighth, or what we typically refer to as an octave. And this is going to be a very bouncy song. Here it says bouncing steadily. So to jump that octave, we're going to have to do something a little tricky, and I'll show you that in just a moment. Before we do that, I want you to notice down here that we've got a note that's way down there on a ledger line, way below the staff. And what that is the lowest F on the keyboard. So if you can go ahead and find the lowest F on the keyboard, that's the note you're going to play there. So let's just switch over to the keyboard view and take a look at it here. So I'm going to set up my fingers. It tells me to put finger 2 in the left hand on the note F. Let me see if I can angle my camera a little bit better so that you can see the bass notes a little better. If we can get it there. Okay, that's a little better. So this is the bass note F, bass F. Finger 2 is there. Right hand thumb is going to go on middle C. And then to go that octave, I'm going to jump from middle C all the way up to treble C. Notice that my hand is just kind of spread out here. Now I can do that very easily because my hands can reach an octave. Your hands may be too small to do that. And so if they are, what you're going to have to do is rotate that wrist. And you're going to have to jump from C to C, C to C. You're going to have to rotate the wrist anyway, even if your hand is big enough to reach. Notice that my wrist rotates, but the difference is you won't have to rotate quite so much. If you've got a smaller hand, you're going to have to get a little more of that rotation in there. A bigger hand, not quite so much. So we're going to start here on bass F and then play our middle C with our right hand. 1, 2, ready, play. Very staccato. Square 5. And here's my low F, which you can't really see me play because my camera is not reaching that far. So that is how guide note pinball goes. And then we have one more to learn today, and that is the English minuet. And in order to do this, let's go ahead and talk for a minute about the treble C pentascale. So starting on treble C, we can do exactly the same thing that we did on middle C for C position. We can start on that treble C, put fingers 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 on C, D, E, F, and G. C, D, E, F, and G. So let's look real briefly at English minuet. I'm going to go ahead and set my hand up so that my right hand thumb is on that treble C and my left hand thumb is on middle C. Notice that we are in 3/4. Notice that we are going to have to read both by stepping and by skipping. So I'm going to go ahead and switch over to keyboard view. And this is English minuet. So right hand thumb on treble C. There's my treble C pentascale or treble C position. And then my left hand thumb is going to be here on middle C. And so I'm going to count in 3/4. 1, 2, 3, 1, ready, play. C, 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 D, 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 E, E, E. Legato here. C, 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 D, 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 E. 1, 2, repeat. Piano the second time. D, 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 E, E, E. Legato here. Square 5. And that is how you play English minuet.